maritime phase of Operation Tradewinds is the premier exercise for the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force Coast Guard unit and other maritime units in Tradewinds participating countries in an effort to sharpen their skills in defending their nations at sea. This was evident during Phase 1 of Exercise Tradewinds, held in St. Kitts Nevis from June 4th to 12th. Multiple partner nations conducted a number of training activities, including a live gunnery exercise, which involved testing weapons on both the fast response cutter, the United States Coast Guard Joseph Tezanos, and the TTS Speyside out of Trinidad and Tobago.
So today we went out and did a gunnery exercise with the Trinidad vessel, the Speyside. We embarked shipriders from the Dominican Republic. The Speyside embarked shipriders from St. Kitts, and we got to shoot our 50 caliber machine guns and our 25 millimeter cannon. It's to work with partner nations, share best practices so that we could work together and to maintain the Caribbean stable. Regional stability to the United States, it's very important, and exercises like this are very helpful for international cooperation amongst us.
What stood out to me today is the amount of safety procedure that was adhered to. The performance of the crew, ensuring that everything went well. On starboard, we try our best to practice as much safety as possible. Most of our officers are trained by the US, so as a result we adopt most of their techniques and what they do. It is now for us to security conscious and safety conscious. That is something we practice.
The maritime phase of Exercise Tradewinds prepares these forces to conduct effective operations at sea in the fight against counter-narcotic trafficking, trafficking in persons, illegal entry of goods and persons, and illegal firearms penetrating our region's porous borders.
Mark Speyside, Roger, be advised we have visual on both Viper 2 and Viper 3, maintaining security. All copy, over.
A vital aspect of the maritime phase involved narcotic trafficking, which stemmed from a land raid which extended out to the ocean as suspects attempted to flee via vessels that were stationed in strategic places. Fortunately, the men and women who protect our borders were there to intercept. Exercise Tradewinds 2018 brought much experience and exposure to the maritime sector in St. Kitts and Nevis. One such exposure was the certification of a number of engineers within the Coast Guard unit. However, before obtaining certification and working on the actual engines, participants had to go through a series of in-class training.
Today we're teaching our partners the ins and outs of maintaining a Mercury outboard engine. We found that there's a lot of difficulties in the region with understanding these really big high horsepower engines, and so we've invited the Mercury representative himself from Mercury headquarters in Florida to certify our partners in different maintenance items so that when it comes down to it they can do maintenance on these things and not be afraid of it and not void the warranty and potentially invalidate the work that they've done on it.
Training become useful because I had fewer knowledge about the Mercury engines. After the week and 3 days doing the Mercury training, I got a lot more knowledge. I learned about how to use the computer that diagnose the engines when they have electronic problems or sensors problems. The training was more relaxing and more comfortable. It was like a sit back and you say what issues you had with the engines, and the instructor explain on how to go about solving these issues.
First thing they did is make sure we know the engines, parts, where that should be the most important thing. So if your supervisor come to you and tell you what to change, you know the parts, them, everything. It's real useful to me to say that we have Mercury engine.
Officials from the local Coast Guard unit praised the facilitators for the important training, as it will go a long way in assisting the Federation to effectively and efficiently carry out its duties.
Most of the guys are already very efficient because they're qualified engineers, outboard engineers, but the issue is they're just not certified. So the certification added, is basically like an added bonus, a little moral boost to say, well, here you have something else, they do have the outboard certification, but it only goes so far. So now they have a Mercury certification, so that is added to the qualification, and they can go about and do, work on any Mercury engines on the island, even outside of Coast Guard.
The St. Kitts Nevis Customs and Excise Department also played a pivotal role in Phase 1 of the multinational exercise.
The Customs, on the other hand, they played an exemplary role. They assisted the Coast Guard with a small rib to assist with our day-to-day operations. This rib was also utilized to assist the Tradewinds media to give them a more closer view of the actual exercises as they went along during the week and a half of Phase 1. The Customs in itself also played a role in the planning to some extent with the local organizing committee. The Maritime phase played a fundamental role for the Coast Guard in one aspect. It enabled the Coast Guard officers to meet international standards with respect to search and rescue, law enforcement. It also helped us in ways such as it brought various Coast Guard officers from different countries together to operate collectively, whereas when a Coast Guard officer goes to training, he's exposed to theory and practical, but he's never exposed to the actual real-life scenarios that the maritime phase has brought to Tradewinds.
The maritime phase of exercise Tradewinds, projecting the region's commitment to national and regional security from the sea.